Welcome to a beautiful sunny morning in Oita in Japan. Just going to show you around the boathouse in Oita with the new 3 Hovercraft. Coming up the slip here, there's the three positions for the Hovercraft at the moment, just 2 in there. So Bannery and Tanso are in the shed at the moment. Baen is out and will be returning into the boathouse later this morning. There are 3 positions for the Hovercraft. The one on the left hand side here is the maintenance position. It's got an overhead crane and some maintenance blocks built into the floor. So you can see Bannery on that spot at the moment looks higher than Tanso, which is in the second spot. And then there's one spot waiting for Baen to arrive. This is the maintenance position, which Bannery is currently sitting in. You can see the floor here is flat to make it easier for maintenance. There are 4 concrete blocks on the floor which lift the craft up and make it easier to access underneath. There's a 10-ton crane which is enough to lift any of the engines or ducts or propellers or any other aspects off the hovercraft if it needs to be. The 2 operational slots are both fitted with winches at the top of the boathouse, and the same slope all the way down to the slipway until the bottom. And those winches, as you can see here, which are paid out at the moment, go right the way to the bottom so that it's easy to get the hovercraft into the boathouse. Both of these areas have these 4 large hydraulic jacks. They're not used for maintenance, they're just used in case there's a tsunami, and then the hovercraft will be lifted up above any water level. The craft have been purchased by Oita Prefecture, which is the local government, and they will be operated and maintained by Oita Daiichi Hoverdrive. So one of the questions we were asked is why Oita Prefecture have purchased 3 hovercraft. So they're going to use 2 in service at any one time, and the other one will be in maintenance and on standby. This is the brand new Oita City Hovercraft Terminal. It's got an amazing observation platform where you can walk all the way up on top and watch right over Beppu Bay, see the hovercraft coming in and out. This is the way you're going to get onto the hovercraft, out of the terminal, round alongside the hovercraft boathouse, and in here. And the operational hovercraft will operate from this side of the boathouse and allow everybody to get on and off using the bow ramps. Just going to walk on board Tanso, hovercraft number 3, the big 3 on the front of it to show that's which one it is. You walk on board, and from first observations looks very similar to Hover Travel 12,000s. Those that are very observant will notice that it has 1 extra window in the cabin, and that's because the hovercraft is 2 meters longer, and that's allowed us to put 80 passenger seats in here, which is only 4 more than Hover Travel have, but it also has 2 wheelchair spaces and a great deal of space at the front of the cabin for easy access, barrier-free access for people that need extra assistance to get on board, and for those wheelchairs. Now in Tanso's engine bay. So we've had a load of questions about whether or not power is different on these hovercraft compared to Hover Travel, what we've done differently in the machinery, but the truth is everything's pretty much identical. The engines are the same MAN engines as used in Hover Travel, exactly the same amount of power, no difference. We have made a very, very slight adjustment between the mix, the ratio of power that goes into the lift fans compared to the propellers, just to allow for the extra length of the hovercraft and that little bit of extra weight. That is all. So there's a little bit more power going into the lift fans. Lift fans, main engines operated here through a shaft to bottom bearing, and then you see this belt cage at the back of Hovercraft, and that actually goes up to drive the propeller and an outboard to drive the lift fan. The only other thing that's different here is that there is a small diesel generator fitted in the middle, and that just drives the air conditioning. It's slightly warmer in Oita than it is in Portsmouth, so they want the air conditioning running a little bit more often, so that's what it's for. Been asked about bow thrusters on the 12,000s in Oita. There are small puff port type bow thrusters fitted to each side body. Actually a vent from the skirt with a flap that's controlled by the pilot, and allow a small amount of lateral thrust to be applied by the port starboard depending on how they operate it. They're fitted because they were originally fitted on the previous Oita Hovercraft, and that's what the customer requested. But the 12,000 is so manoeuvrable, and the new pilots are finding out it's so manoeuvrable that actually they're not used very often at all.
So one of the questions we've been asked is what are the operating limitations for this craft. It's the same as the hover travel craft. It can do 35 gusting 40 knots of wind and 1.5 meters significant wave height. The craft handles ever so slightly differently because it is longer, so it's a little bit easier to go over the hump. The hump curve is flatter and the craft can push through. So I'm set up in the wheelhouse at the moment. The wheelhouse is designed to carry 3 crew. The pilot sits here, a navigator in the other forward position, and then the 3rd crewman at the back. So we've just completed our training program with Hoverdrive. That's got them 7 new pilots that we've been training over the past 4 weeks. And they will continue training right through the summer, ready to start the service in October.